And welcome back to another episode of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Gina, how are you holding up? I'm starting to feel quite warmly toward her frequent cold shoulders now. Oh, Ginny, are you alright? Why aren't you saying anything? What's the point, eh? Why go to all this trouble and fight so hard for the likes of me? Huh? Well, you saw it, that picture. What picture? You mean the one with you holding a gun at Mr. Windibank? Ah, you mean this? The photograph taken by Hurley's red-handed recorder. Well, I didn't think it'd capture a scene like that, that's for sure. It's hopeless. Anyone who sees that is gonna think I did it, ain't they? Well, I won't pretend it was a bit of shock when the prosecution first presented it to court. You should have told me beforehand. Surely you have your doubts about me now. You can't still think I'm innocent. Well, of course I can. Ginny, why don't you talk to us? Tell us what really happened that night. Eh? Bruno's cleverly managed to piece together a lot of new information, but still, we'd really like to hear from you. Alright then. Oh good, are you actually gonna tell me what happened? I can work with that. It was after we all had that dinner together at your place, right, Iris? Then we all had to chat up in your office, didn't we? Well, yeah, I remember. Oh, wait, we knew she was getting the, manuscript. Well, after that, I just couldn't get to sleep. So I slipped out and went down the street to the 2-to-1 to Windibank's place. I had to know. If Iris's story was there or not, the Hound of the Baskervilles? I don't know what it's about or nothing. But if you ask me, there's something in that Sholmes I don't like. Something what... Oh my goodness, ma'am. Something what I don't want people reading. So that's why I lied to Iris about sticking it with Windibank for safekeeping. At least that's what I thought at the time. So you broke into Windibank's? I just had to know if it was there or not. I mean, I had no idea all I was going to kick off with, did I? I struck the lock and snuck inside. It was dark as you like in there. So I gave the oil lamp on the counter a bit of wick, and that's when... What do you think you're doing? Ugh. I nearly died, I did. And the next thing I knew... I grabbed the gun off the counter and was waving in the air like, I don't know what. Ah, you're the girl who was here this afternoon. I didn't think pickpockets went in for armed robbery. The manuscript, you got it here? Did Sholmes leave a little papers with you? A story? I beg your pardon? The Hound of the something or other. If it's here, I want to see it. I'm sorry, young lady, but I'd sooner die than relinquish an article belonging to one of my customers. Well, I don't want it. What would I do with it anyway? I just want to see if it's here, that's all. Oh, you want to see it, do you? I want to know if Sholmes really pawned it in here or not. Please, just let me see it and I'll go. Oh, very well then. But for pity's sake, stop waving my gun around, would you? So then the old cove unlocked the storeroom door, and we both went inside. And it was there alright, the manuscript. Sholmes weren't lying after all. You did all that just to check for me, Ginny? So it's my fault that the old man's dead? Well, anyway, then there would have been a kick-up at the main bit of the shop. The Skulkin brothers arriving on the scene. What was that noise? Someone's breaking in. Dear me, is there some burglars convention here tonight I don't know about? Oh, I think I forgot to shut the door behind me. I'm sorry. I better go and take care of it. Could I possibly have my gun back? Oh, well, I'll come with you and... Now don't be foolish, young girl. You must stay right here. Don't leave this room under any circumstances. And with that, it took the gun out of my hands and walked back out the shop. I am back to the storeroom, like I said, straining my ears in the dark to hear what was going on. It sounded like they got in a bit of a scrap, so I think I should help, see? So I was just about to go to the storeroom myself when... Bang, bang. I heard a couple of shots go off. 2, I think. Almost at the same time. And there it was, right at my feet, lying face down on the floor. I was right next to the storm door, so I slammed it shut and locked it quick as you like. Because you thought whoever shot Mr. Winterbank might come for you. Well, yeah. So I went to grab the old cove's gun. I figured I'd put up a fight at least. But when I got a better look at him, I knew. Winterbank was a goner. It felt funny in my head all of a sudden, kinda dizzy. And after that, I don't remember nothing. Well, that must have been when you passed out, Gina. If I had done what I'd done, the old cove must still be alive. Well, did you tell the police everything you told us? Of course I did. And no one thought to bring that up. But they didn't believe a word of it, did they? All they said was if I kept telling lies, it'd make things even worse for me. Well, I guess it makes sense. They didn't want to, like, take her word for it. It'll be alright, Jeannie. Don't worry. Just stay strong a little longer. Runa's about to put the real culprit through the mill. In that cove, what was literally an afternoon? That Egbert Benedict? I'll still remember how it looked at me like I was nothing. It was there that night. Well, we don't know his real name yet, but I'm convinced that he's involved somehow. Well, anyway, thank you for telling us what happened, Gina. I appreciate your honesty. You what? You can leave it all in Runo's capable hands now, Ginny. Mr. Naruto. Well, yeah? How come you trust me? I don't get it. Well, I mean, have you forgotten what happened here before? Come on, it was only 2 months ago. Me and McGilden, we told you a whole pack of lies. And you got the bog trotter off with him, even though he was a killer. Well, no, I could never forget that. Oh. I did what I thought was best at the time. But the pain of that error of judgment doesn't get any easier to bear. Still, don't forget that I also made you a promise. I told you I'd be on your side to the bitter end, no matter what. Well, what if I'm lying? You could be working to get another killer off the hook for all you know. Well, I was once in your position, Gina. I was the accused in a trial. You were? Before I left Japan, I was accused of murder. And strange as it might sound, the circumstances of that crime were pretty damning. I was sure that no one would believe it wasn't me who'd done it. Oh, Runo. Who was the murdered person, Runo? Who did they think you murdered, Runo? Was it my dad, Runo? But there was a person who stood up for me, who believed in me, and was prepared to defend me. My best friend. We're gonna keep flashbacking to Kazuma. Ryunosuke, no one believes in you more than I do. Leave this to me. All you need to do is put your faith in me, and I'll do the rest. I was so happy, I cried. But even then, somewhere inside me, I couldn't help thinking. Surely he doesn't really believe in me. Not completely. But I was wrong. Aww. Ryunosuke loves him. As soon as my trial began, it was obvious that he had an absolute unwavering belief in me. And in turn, I developed an absolute unwavering belief in him. Well, since then I came to realize If you want someone to believe in you, you have to believe in the other person first. What are you saying? That I promise you, Gina, that no matter what happens, I'll keep believing in you. So you don't need to worry. I won't let you down. Even though I'm a diver, and a no-good liar. You're not like McGilded. I know that. Eh? That's right. You're our friend, Ginny. Iris. We know you better than you think. And we come to the conclusion that you're someone we can trust. Yes. Well, that's really all we need to know. Exactly. Mr. Naruto, Oh. Defendant Gina Lestrade and her legal representative. Court proceedings are about to resume. Please head to the courtroom immediately. Yeah, on our way, thanks. I've been both a defendant and a defending lawyer in my time, so I knew only too well just how hard it was to put all your faith in another. And I also knew just how hard it was to bear the burden of another putting all their faith in you. This is it at last, the final chapter, the final battle. Wish me luck, Susato-san. And I hope you're watching over me too, partner. I hereby call this court to order as we resume the trial of Miss Gina Lestrade. Lord Van ZIEKS, have you successfully subpoenaed the witness? The subpoena was delivered to the communication station where the man works immediately, my lord. However, the heavy rain has delayed the arrival of his carriage, it would seem. I see. Then let us turn our attention to the Inspector Gregson's presses of the case heard by the court this morning. The glaring omission of the third bullet in your report is a serious blunder, Inspector. Well, yeah, I can only apologize, my lord. And although the defense's chemical analysis of the blood at the scene makes for a compelling argument, I cannot permit such untried methods to be used as evidence in my courtroom. It's a big mistake to cross Hurley and me. A very big mistake. Don't say that to the judge. My lord, the subpoenaed witness has just arrived in the building. Thank you, officer. Show him to the stand without delay. Well, Mr. Edgar Benedict. I didn't expect to be crossing paths with him again so soon. And certainly not like this. We'll turn him around. Does he have a cross on his back? Thank you for complying with the court subpoena at such short notice, sir. But of course, my lord. As an upstanding member of London society, it is my pleasure to oblige. Now, kindly state your name and occupation for the record. Ashley Graydon, Communications Officer. Mr. Graydon and I both work at London Central Communication Station. Now, perhaps somebody would kindly explain what all this is about. You were praised of the situation by the court officer on your way here, I presume. Yes, I was. Something to do with a murder that took place at a pawnbroker's on Baker Street. And some nonsense about me having been there on the night in question. That is the accusation, indeed. This is really beyond a joke, you know. Very well. Without further delay, the court will hear your testimony now, Mr. Graydon. You will respond to the accusation made against you under oath. Gladly, my lord, gladly. Okay. Naturally, I have occasion to make use of the pawnbroking services from time to time. But are you seriously suggesting I colluded with these thugs to break into a place on the night of the murder? I have no intention of admitting to such an outrageous accusation. Even if certain parties were here present claimed that my blood was found at the scene. Some Scaramouche detective's homebrewed tincture can hardly be taken as serious evidence. Okay. So, you deny the accusation completely, do you? I must say, I am dismayed. For the highest court in the land to be swayed by this self-professed detective's toy. It was the will of the jury, and our great British justice system demands that the jury's will is upheld. Then it would seem we have the misfortune of a most inept assembly of jurors today. Yes, insult them. By golly. How long am I expected to be detained here? If following the defense's cross-examination, your involvement in this matter has not been established, you'll be free to leave immediately. Good. Then I should be away in time for afternoon tea. Some small consolation at least. Let us not hold up Mr. Graydon any longer than necessary, counsel. Proceed with the cross-examination. So, we meet again, Mr. Eggert. Or is it Mr. Graydon? My apologies, you are? Ryunosuke Naruhodo, defense lawyer. We've met. If you say so, Ashley Graydon. Enchanté. So. Oh look, he has hair. Ah. I trust we can conclude this quickly. I'm not holding your flashy hat while we do this.
Hold it!
Yeah, we even met in the very pawnbrokery where the crime took place in the afternoon of the day in question. Though, of course, you introduced yourself by a different name at the time. It was Mr. Eggert Benedict, I believe. Well, tell me, what made you... The witnesses here testified about the events that took place that night. He's under no obligation to answer such unrelated questions. Well, you can't be serious. Thank you, because I certainly do not feel inclined to answer such an inappropriate question. So he's going to be evasive, is he? In an effort not to give anything away? This could be tricky.
Hold it!
Blood was found at the scene of the crime. There's no question of that. Mr. Sholm's chemical analysis has positively identified the substance as such. But I am not the only human to have blood running through my veins, am I? How can I be sure that the blood is mine? It could equally be the blood of one of these two miscreants. Well, every individual's blood has a slightly different composition, it seems. Mr. Sholm's chemical is able... Dude! Spare me the science lesson. Who is this Sholm's character, anyway? Oh, I assumed all Londoners would know that name. He's a renowned detective. So even you aren't able to bring yourself to say, great detective. A great detective, you say? Just now we're in the realm of fairy tales, aren't we? Oh, whoa, okay. Yes?
Excuse me.
You something to say about that, Mr. Skulkin? Ew, what, me? Well, no, Mr. Skulkin next to you. Right, I had to hear with this. How many times I gotta tell ya? Yeah, I know. You're not Big Brev Sulky. Mr. Nash Skulkin. Eh? Corblummy, governor. You what? Is it not the case that when Mr. Graydon just spoke, a thought went through your mind? Would you care to share that thought with the court? Eh? Me thoughts? I don't have none of them. It must have been him. You what? Mr. Nash Skulkin, answer the question, please. What went through your mind when Mr. Graydon just spoke? Nothing, honest, Gov, nothing. I was just thinking. If he waves his arm around like that much more, it'll open up the wound again, that's all. Huh? What wound? Where I took the bullet, of course. It was only 2 days ago. It ain't gonna be healed up yet. So I was, well, you know, I was worried for him and all. Oh, L's bells. Wound, Mr. Graydon? Did you hear that? What? Your comrade's worried about you, it seems. On account of your injured arm. My lord. Yes, Mr. Graydon. I have no idea what these two wretches are talking about. Certainly I shouldn't be expected to answer anything in relation to their mindless insinuations. Well, we know that someone other than the victim was hit by a bullet at the scene of the crime 2 nights ago. And from the height of the bullet hole in the wall, that person was likely hit in the upper arm or thereabouts. Perhaps you allow a court official to examine your arm, sir. The left arm that you're currently clasping with your right hand, as if in pain. No, I refuse. Huh? You have shown no evidence whatsoever that links me to these common thieves. Accordingly, I'm not obliged to permit any such invasion of my privacy. Well, I mean, if he knows about your bullet wound and that you got 2 days ago during a shooting 2 days ago, that you're saying you're not there 2 days ago, I think that's you. As I've already said, I'm completely uninvolved in all this. I never had anything to do with the pawnbrokery where this fellow was killed whatsoever. I take offense to the insinuation that I was in any way involved. You claim to have nothing whatsoever to do with Mr. Winnewick's pawnbrokery. Well, my lord, the defense would like that last statement to be added to Mr. Graydon's formal testimony. Very well, counsel. Continue with your testimony, Mr. Graydon. Yeah, I'm not a complete stranger to the pawnbrokers. I'm currently on the lookout for an armchair to furnish my study. Well, no, you were in there to redeem an article. I have no idea what you're talking about. Yep, thank you. Okay.
Excuse me.
I'm like, I could prove with evidence, but sure, we'll use hearsay instead. Do you have something to add, Inspector? Come again, sunshine. You were there too, in fact, weren't you, Inspector? That afternoon. Well, yes, I do remember meeting yourself in the pawnbroker's afternoon. You, your young Japanese assistant, and the accused were all present, as I recall. And at the time, this witness, Mr. Graydon, was trying to acquire a particular article. Well now. I'm afraid I don't remember too clearly. What? Wait, what? But you must. I'm not gonna lie and pretend and I remember something that I don't. Wait, what's going on here? Gregsy chose the picture before, didn't he? You know, from the cameras that Hurley installed in Windibanks. Well, yeah, of course. Indeed. The gentleman pictured bears a striking resemblance to the witness, I must say. Exactly, which proves Mr. Graydon was in the shop on the afternoon in question. At no point have I denied that fact. Huh? I merely entered the shop to peruse the articles on sale and have a word with the broker. Nothing more. Wait, this makes no sense. I understand why Mr. Graydon might be trying to cover his tracks. But why would Gregson be trying to avoid giving testimony about what happened? Did I not? Okay. So if it wasn't the coat, even though it was, it was a box then? Maybe I just picked the wrong one?
Objection.
Okay, so not the box, not the tote, not the ticket with the coat. I mean, I can't prove the music box. I mean, I guess because it has his blood? I don't know.
Objection.
I feel like the ticket proves more. Have you seen this disc before, Mr. Graydon? Why? Is it supposed to mean something? Well, this disc was, until the day of his murder, in pawn in Mr. Windibank's shop. It was redeemed by the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, that afternoon. However, somebody mysteriously appeared to try to take it from her. And that somebody was you, of course. Wasn't it, Mr. Graydon? Yeah, he's just gonna say, no, I can't prove that. As I've reiterated numerous times now, you're mistaken. That was not me. I've never seen that disc before in my life. It may have escaped your notice, but there's a small smear of blood on the disc. Ah, yes, resulting from an operation of the thumb, perhaps. Oh, he probably has a cut on his thumb, and am I going to prove that? So I'm going to prove that the cut on his thumb is this thing? Well, that's right. The surface of the disc is covered in hundreds of tiny metal bumps. In the skirmish to acquire the disc, the thumb of the person who tried to take it suffered minor lacerations. So, well, the disc bears the remnants of that skirmish in the form of the smear of blood. The thumb of the person in question must bear the remnants also, in the form of a scratch. Good gracious, indeed it must. Mr. Graydon, you refused to allow the court officer to examine your arm before. Are you now going to refuse us to examine your thumb? Because I have no doubt that it bears a small scratch consistent with the smear of blood on this disc. Well, well. It would seem I underestimated you. What is the meaning of this? Why is everyone on that witness stand just a big ol' liar? So you admit it now. You admit you have a scratch on your thumb from when you attempted to take the disc from the defendant. Order, order. Well, Mr. Graydon? Well, it would appear there has been something of a misunderstanding here. I did not attempt to take the disc, as you put it. No, quite the reverse. What are you trying to say? Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. It's quite simple, you see. The disc was mine from the outset. Is there some crime in taking an item you own out of pawn? Huh? It would seem, Mr. Graydon, that in this piece of evidence, my friend has established a link between yourself and the incident. Accordingly, you will tell the court everything you know about this disc now. As you wish. Though, I'm quite sure it has nothing to do with whatsoever with the pawnbroker's murder. There's a note on the desk saying for McGilded, but the item belongs to me. The redemption ticket was stolen from me by the accused, that filthy gutterling, on the day in question. I proceeded at once to the shop in order to explain my situation and redeem my article. In the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night. Did I hear you correctly, sir? McGill, did you say? The famous London philanthropist. Who died in this very courtroom. Who perished in this very courtroom 2 months ago, after being acquitted of a distinctly messy murder. Yes, my lord. The one and the same. Good lord, Mr. Graydon. Are you saying that Mr. McGill and yourself were acquainted? This is like evidence for later. Yes, that is correct. Reaper, get him! Order, well. I certainly didn't expect to hear the name uttered here in my courtroom again. What? Really? Well, according to what Jean told us, this disc was placed in pawn on a fateful night 2 months ago. McGilda himself gave instructions to deposit it at Windibanks. It's funny that Mr. Graydon here is claiming the disc belongs to him then, isn't it? In all likelihood, he's lying. So he appeared in the afternoon at Windibanks in order to get his hands on McGilda's disc for some reason. Counsel, you will commence your cross-examination, please. The disc. Don't mind my 3 little stars I have left. There's a note on... Okay, so blah, 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 blah. Press. Would you care to explain how this belongs to you? As you will observe, a communications officer such as myself commands a fine salary. You are certainly exquisitely dressed, sir. So you see, I have a little need to make use of the services provided by the pawnbrokery trade. However, I did once find myself in difficulties, having misplaced my purse whilst on an errand. Which is why I pawned my fine black overcoat to the broker in question. You claim it was your overcoat? Obviously, and in my haste, I clean forgot that the music box disc was in his pocket. Oh, if you're claiming it's your overcoat, you're going to explain the blood, sir. Yeah, because if he says that it's his, and we prove the blood, and the blood has Mason's blood on it, he's going to get charged for murder of Mr. Mason, too, if you really want to. And yet, there is a note on it that reads for McGilded. I am a collector of rare and unusual music box music. I first met Mr. McGilded at a gentleman's club in the city, and was interested to discover that he shared my penchant in that area. So, the disc in question. It was a pre-production sample. I promised to let Mr. McGilded hear it. But then you forgot it was in the pocket of the overcoat you were forced upon. Yes, exactly. Gina didn't mention any of that in her testimony 2 months ago, did she? Oh, no, because Mr. McGilda had threatened her to keep her mouth shut. Which means if we dig too deeply here, it's going to expose Gina's perjury. Oh dear. This is complicated, isn't it? So we'll leave it alone for the time being.
Hold it!
So you're saying that Miss Lestrade lifted the ticket from your pocket or bag? That's right. Just by being mindful of danger when walking in the unsalubrious areas of her kind frequent. Yeah, chill, dude. Miss Lestrade did no such thing. Well, of course you would take that stance, but the girl is a regular offender. Well, you came to pawnbrokery that day prepared with all the information needed to identify the defendant. You were looking for her. That's what brought you to Windibanks. To get your hands on Mr. McGilda's disc.
Objection!
My friend is a very veritable font of nonsense. Nonsense?
I concur with the prosecution. Counsel, you will refrain from conjecturing in this way. Is that clear?
We had proof, but I guess the police got rid of it. Can't say that in court, though, can we? Well, okay, my lord. Then I'll continue with my testimony for what possible use it can be.
Hold it!
Had you ever been to Windibanks before? Only once, for the purposes of pawning something. But, like many, I enjoy browsing in such establishments. So, when you notice that the pickpocket taking your ticket, you chase after her. Is that correct? Yes, that's right. I didn't notice at first, of course. Such is the art of the pick purse. But when I did, I headed to the pawnbrokery at once in order to reclaim my coat before the thief could. I was merely trying to recover what was rightfully mine in the first place. He can say what he likes because he knows we have no evidence to contradict him on this.
Hold it!
Well, yeah, it was taken by Inspector Gregson here, wasn't it? That's right. And this was the very man. Apparently the police are collecting anything that has a connection to Mr. McGilda as evidence.
Excuse me.
Yep. Well, is something wrong, Inspector? What do you mean? The last remark Mr. Gray made in his testimony seemed to trouble you in some way. No, it didn't. It's nothing. Leave it alone. So, let me ask you this, Inspector. Why is Scotland Yard gathering McGilda's possessions? I can't tell you something like that, Sunshine. What is it, Inspector? Investigative secrets? Well, yeah, exactly. You should know all about that. Magnus McGilda, who died so unexpectedly after his trial 2 months ago, a man renowned throughout the capital for his great contributions to public life. Yet, he had a dark side, too.
Where are you going with this, ZIEKS?
I suppose the police are dealing with the aftermath of his nefarious activities, are they?
That's enough. Coppers like me have duties to carry out when we're not at liberty to talk about. That's all you need to know.
Duties conferred by Lord Strongheart, I presume. The Lord Chief Justice appears to have great faith in you, Inspector.
The bottom line is, if you want to get more out of me, you're going to need Lord Strongheart's paw print first.
Huh? It's like there's something going on between Gregson and Lord Van ZIEKS here. They should fight it out. And totally, give me some time to, back off.
Well, it would appear the Inspector has revealed all he's at liberty to reveal. Mr. Graydon, let's return to your testimony.
Gladly, my lord.
Hold it!
But perhaps you see something of value among the forfeited items. No, not at all. Oh? A valuer... A valuer was brought in by the police to assess everything in the shop. Without exception, every article on the shelves was common or garden bric-a-brac. Well, so in that case, it's clear that you broke into the shop later that day in order to recover Mr. McGilda's disc. Have you not been listening, my man? even if I want to recover the disc. You may recall I'd been seized by the police that afternoon. There was no more in the shop that night than I. As I keep saying, I simply had no reason to break in. So there's nothing of Mr. McGilda's left in the shop? Oh, okay. Okay, so then the other one?
Objection.
Okay, sure. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I'm like, look, one of these tickets has to be the answer for everything. Well, this disc was deposited at Windibanks on Magnus McGilda's instructions. You knew that, and you went there with the intention of obtaining it for yourself.
Objection.
Conjecture again. In any case, the disc was taken into custody by the police that afternoon. The witness had no reason to visit the pawnbroker again that night. Well, sorry, my friend. Oh, but that's not true. What? Mr. McGilda had another article in pawn at Windibanks. And this, the second pawnbroker's ticket, proves. Ugh. There are 2 articles belonging to Mr. McGilda in Windibanks on pawnbrokery. And the reason you broke into the shop that night was to recover the second one. Together, the 2 accomplices, the Skulkin brothers. Ugh. This is the second ticket, is it? What had the man deposited? The article description reads, 1 small box. A rather vague description, it seems to me. Are you suggesting that I broke into the pawnbrokery with these clowns in order to steal some trinket box? Well, I believe there's adequate grounds to suspect that you did. This is absurd. Why on earth did I do such a thing? Once the article had been forfeited, I could simply walk into the shop and purchase it. There'd be absolutely no need for me to resort to theft. Well, that's a good point. Indeed. The witness makes a solid argument. So that means that for some reason, this graded fellow needed the small box that very night, does it?
Objection.
It's time to put an end to this nonsense, my lord.
Could you be a little less cryptic, Lord Van ZIEKS?
I do hate to ruin my learned friend's argument, but the truth is quite incontrovertible. On the night in question, no small box was taken from Windibank's pawnbrokery. And rest assured, the prosecution can prove it. Huh?
Good gracious.
Inspector, show the photographic prints.
Can I just see all of them? Can you just not hoard them to whenever, like, you know, it helps you?
Show the photographic prints to the court, if you please.
Yes, sir.
Wait, what prints?
These prints are taken from one of the detective's security cameras.
Oh, sure, we use red-handed recorders again, but not the chemical blood thing, huh? As previously explained using this plan of the shop layout. The victim's establishment was furnished with automatic cameras in 2 locations. One was set to capture the counter Mr. Windibank received his customers, and the other was set to capture the shelves on which the articles are placed for sale once forfeited. According to the information on this ticket, Mr. McGill's small box had been forfeited already. 2 days before the incident, 9 p.m. on the 13th of April to be precise, which means it would have been on the shelves of the forfeited items on the shop front. Now what I have here is a print taken by one of the cameras about 2 hours before the incident. That's at 11 p.m. on the 15th April. Okay, so that box?
The victim certainly had a very full shop, it would appear.
And then we have another print. Wait, nope, not the same box. God, I guess we're gonna use the what do you call it thing again?
This one was taken about 2 hours after the incident.
I see. So we have these 2 pictures to compare.
Though I must say that placing them side by side leaves me cold.
Dear me, that's starting to make my head ache. Obviously, at Scotland Yard, we consider theft as one possible motive in this case. We explore the possibility that something had been taken in addition to the victim's life.
So your men have already compared these 2 prints thoroughly, Inspector?
Yes, sir.
We counted every single item in these 2 photographic prints. And the artist's conclusion is that exactly the same number are present in both. In other words, nothing was taken from the pawnbrokery on the night in question. And my learned friend's assertion is nothing more than a hopeful fantasy.
Huh? Well, I don't believe it. If I could have shown that he stole Mr. McGilda's pawn box.
Dude, his arm's gonna fall off and we could prove that, you know, he got shot in the arm.
I might have been able to break him down at least. You know what, Bruno? Well, I've been thinking.
I wanted to... Yeah, I know, we're gonna do the thing. So, counsel, in the light of evidence put forward by the prosecution, what was your position? It seems that, in fact, in that question, nothing was stolen from the victim's establishment. Do you accept the prosecution's assertion?
Well, I don't know. Could there be some hidden discrepancy to these two prints somewhere?
Use a piece of evidence.
Well, before I get my answer, my lord, I'd like to try something, if I may.
Try something? What do you mean, counsel?
I need to use a certain piece of evidence from the court record to identify the discrepancy.
I'm not entirely sure I followed. No, I got it. What piece of evidence do you intend to use to help you?
The thing!
This thing, the stereoscope.
Take that!
I like to use this device, my lord, to view the two prints stereoscopically.
We're making him so happy.
Ah, yes, you've caught the bug at last. You can't resist it, can you? You got the cross-eyed compulsion. Juror number 3, what a surprise. Well, come on, Bruno. Let's put the pictures in place and see what this wonderful contraption shows us. Oh, there we go. Now look through the eyepiece. I wasn't sure at first, but there's a clear discrepancy between these two prints. What?
You must identify the location in question for the court, counsel.
I wonder what I'm gonna click on. This blur? This blur? The time? Or this thing that's glowing in front of my face? Oh, wait, hold on. There we go. We're gonna move that in perfectly.
Take that!
Well, granted, these two prints are almost identical. However, there's one minor discrepancy between them. What? Oh, I can see from here. Yeah. Let's move. I need to do that. I mean, that helps. When you view them stereoscopically, a single area stands out as being different. The location of this small box. No, that's the funniest thing ever in the world. Thumbnail. You're the thumbnail for sure, right? This. Let me wait. Unbelievable.
By Jove, you're right. How extraordinary.
What this tells us is very simple. Mr. McGilda's small box was indeed not stolen from Winterbank's on the night in question. However, there can be no doubt that somebody picked up this particular box and then returned it to its place on the shelves.
Are you suggesting the small box originally deposited by Mr. McGilda's, in fact?
Yeah, the very same small box I just identified in those photographic prints.
Objection.
Mindless guesswork. What if it was?
So the box was moved on the shelf, nothing was stolen.
Which means quite simply that nothing has changed. That may be true, but alright, Mr. McGilda's box wasn't stolen then. But the fact that it was moved, does that change things? Yeah, sure. I don't want to lose a heart. Well, I believe this changes everything about the case. How can that possibly be? The crucial point is the fact that what was moved was the small box. In other words, we had to consider what might have been inside that box. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that we need to examine that box as soon as possible. A vital piece of evidence is sitting on the shelves that makes us as we speak.
Objection.
That won't be necessary. Some little box belonging to a man who died 2 months ago can't possibly be relevant to this trial.
The court does not uphold your objection, Lord Van ZIEKS. Bailiff, arrange for an officer to go to Baker Street at once. Obtain the small box in question and bring it back here for further examination. He's staring me down. He's just gonna stare at me the entire time while we're waiting for the bailiff to show up. Or whoever. I don't know, does the bailiff go get the things? Or send an officer to get the things? That one sleepy... No, sleepy guy's in jail, right? I don't know. We should have a report within half an hour. I think perhaps we should recess for a short while until the evidence is brought forth. To be hoodwinked by such a farce. Disappointing. I beg your pardon, Lord Van ZIEKS? This is nothing but a smokescreen.
What are you trying to say?
My learned friend has persisted with the same line of reasoning from the very beginning. That this witness's intent was to steal an article belonging to Mr. McGilder from the pawnbrokery. Yet common sense tells us that none of the articles have value enough to be worth stealing in the first place. Exactly. It would be beyond absurd to break into a place for the purpose of stealing such commonplace property. If your lordship recalls, Mr. McGilder perished 2 months ago, immediately after the conclusion of his trial. A trial in which he was found not guilty. A trial in which established he was the upstanding member of society's reputation implied, in fact. So I propose a toast to my learned friend and his most insightful defense.
Huh?
The articles this upstanding member of society pawned were entirely ordinary. A black overcoat that just happened to have a music box disc in his pockets and a small box. I assure you I wouldn't accept even if the man tried to make a gift of such things to me. You know, that does make a rather lot of sense. It's not as if it was gold or jewels, is it? Thank goodness, thank goodness, blah, blah, blah. You can't deposit cash at pawnbrokery, I'm quite certain of that. The prosecution's argument is undeniably compelling. It is incumbent on the defense now to bolster its argument.
We're waiting on the evidence, bro.
To explain what possible significance these commonplace articles pawned by this fine citizen could have. Well, counsel, is your argument in fact demonstrable? Are you able to show proof that the disc or the box are in any way tangible to relate to this case?
Well, what's the matter, Runa? We know they're related, don't we? They're both vital pieces of evidence. Well, yeah, of course, you and I both know that. We know Mr. McGilder's true nature. And we know that this is significant, even if we don't know why. But if we explain all that to the court at this point, we'll have to acknowledge that McGilder's acquittal 2 months ago was a mistake. That the defense's argument was flawed, based on false information. Oh no! And that would mean admitting that Gina committed perjury. We say this out loud in front of the judge and jury. But Ginny... Could it be that Van ZIEKS knows? He obviously knows! Is that why he's doing this now? Because he anticipated everything? But maybe... this could be a great opportunity for us. Huh? What do you mean, Iris? Well, what is it that you always say, Runo? Sooner or later, the truth always comes out, every time. Okay, the exact significance of the things that Mr. McGilder deposited in Mr. Windibank's is something that only Gina could explain to the court. If I put her on the stand to testify about that, it could critically damage our chances of winning this case. What's the right thing to do here? Gina, will you not screw me over if I say testify? Well, my lord, the defense would like to make a proposal.
Oh, what proposal, counsel?
While the court awaits the rev of Mr. McGilder's small box, I would like to call the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, to the witness stand.
The defendant? To what end?
Are they not allowed to say their statements? It has to do with the various articles deposited at Mr. Windibank's by Mr. McGilder, my lord. Miss Lestrade has information related to them. I believe it'd be beneficial for the court to hear what she has to say. It will prove the significance of the articles in question once and for all. Well, well. Things are becoming interesting. I presume you consider the implications of the testimony you're proposing. In particular, the impact it will have on the accused standing. And indeed your own. Yeah, I do.
Lord Van Zieks, would you care to explain that last remark?
The prosecution accepts the defense's proposal. I move to interrupt the cross-examination of the current witness and hear from the accused herself.
Very well, if you have no objection. So the court will now hear the testimony of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. Your witnesses currently in stand may step down until further notice. You can't leave. Make sure he doesn't leave.
Then I shall bid you good day.
No, you don't.
Wait. You, sir, shall remain in the stand while Miss Lestrade testifies. As you wish. Okay then, Gina. It's time. I know this will be hard, but please, put your faith in me here. Good luck, Bruno. The articles that Mr. McGilda had deposited in Windibank's pawnbrokery are intimately related with the omnibus case, the trial of which was heard in his courtroom 2 months ago.
Yes, I remember this young lady being brought before me in that trial as well.
Well, that's right, my lord. Her testimony helped establish the innocence of the defendant, Mr. McGilda. The omnibus case was intriguing, to say the least. And now here we all are again. The same players in that trial facing each other once more. A twist of fate, perhaps, my friend. Allow me to recap the events of 2 months ago. An old brickmaker was stabbed to death in an omnibus running along London's winter streets. Apart from the victim, there's only one other person in the carriage, Mr. McGilda. Naturally, he was the prime suspect for the murder. As the trial progressed, another possibility emerged. That the murder, in fact, took place above the defendant's head on the roof deck, with the body being dropped through the skylight in the carriage below. It was Miss Lestrade whose testimony brought that possibility to light. At the time of the incident, Miss Lestrade was concealed under a seat in the carriage, hoping to pick the pockets of unsuspecting passengers. Then, immediately after the trial of having been acquitted of the murder, Mr. McGilda died in the very courtroom, in the most extraordinary circumstances. A mystery that remains unsolved even now, 2 months on, as indeed does the omnibus murder itself.
Be that as it may, I recall neither the disc nor the small box being mentioned in the course of those proceedings.
Miss Lestrade, would you tell the court now, please? What really happened in the omnibus 2 months ago, I mean? I don't know what you mean. I already said all of what I know. And what about everything you told us yesterday from inside your prison cell? Please, Miss Lestrade. This is extremely important. But... Remember, little girl. If it transpires that you willfully withheld information in the trial 2 months ago, the Home Office will seek to prosecute you for perjury. Huh? And naturally you will lose all credibility as a witness. Although, let's face facts. You have little credibility to lose. Ginny, don't listen to him. Please, you have to trust Bruno now. Iris, we're on your side. Alright then. I'll talk. And after I talk, we'll end the episode. It's a right choice, Gina. Well, it would seem that my learned friend is hell-bent on bringing the entire courtroom down about his ears. So be it.
I must confess, I'm struggling to understand what on earth is happening here. However, it would appear that Mr. McGilda's pawned articles in the extraordinary case of the omnibus harbor secrets of which we've been hitherto unaware. So, Miss Lestrade, you will now give your testimony before the court about the events of 2 months ago. You will reveal the truth, a commodity sorely lacking in your original statements.
So this is it then. Everything's going to come out. Like Van Zieks said. This could bring the whole courtroom down about my ears, but as a lawyer, I'm prepared to take that risk. Truth is, the Brickmaker Cove was in the cabin of the omnibus the whole time. When the Irishman dragged me out from the seat, I saw a disc on the floor. All of a sudden, I heard a scream over my head, and that pair on the roof deck went off to call the slops. That's when Mr. McGillis slipped the driver some tin to do a run to the pawn shop around that. Threatened me not to snitch, not to say nothing to no one of what I seen or heard. That was the quickest testimony ever.
Good grief, this is outrageous. What you just told the court bears almost no resemblance to your testimony 2 months ago.
As you say, my lord.
Then there's every chance I may have abdicated in error in Mr. McGilda's trial. It sounds very much to me as if the man deliberately deceived this court, in an effort to cover up the most wicked of schemes.
Without doubt, your lordship is correct. A great injustice was done in this courtroom 2 months ago. The actions of the accused in that trial, of this witness, and of my friend are entirely inexcusable.
I literally just did my job?
I don't believe it. The whole trial was a farce. It was all lies. That McGilda fellow's riding to the core, just like that pickpocket. Don't forget that lawyer from the east, where they were all in it together. You're wrong, the liar. Mr. Naruto, the lawyer there, didn't know nothing about it.
Humbug.
I don't think so. Are we really expected to believe that?
He really stitched everyone up, didn't he? What an operation to get the man off scot-free.
Unforgivable. Stop. The lies have to stop. Stop. Well, yeah, the defense made a terrible error of judgment. I intend to take full responsibility and suffer whatever consequences are deemed
Why would... No, that's not how that works. You...
What? No. However, it's imperative that the court allows a witness to elaborate on her testimony, because the true significance of McGilda's pawn articles must be brought to light. Very well, my friend.
Huh?
Given the depths of calamity you've just plunged yourself into, this may well very be worth hearing.
Words fail me. The situation is utterly deplorable. Mr. Naruhodo.
Well, yeah, my lord?
I will decide upon your fate following the conclusion of this trial.
What the heck? Of course, my lord. Blimey, Mr. Naruhodo.
Now, counsel, proceed with the cross-examination.
Hold it!
And you were hiding under the cabin at the time as well, weren't you, Miss Lestrade? If I remember rightly, in the storage compartment underneath one of the seats. Yeah, that's right. It's pitch black under there, so you can't see nothing at all.
Now, in your testimony 2 months ago, I feel certain that you claim Mr. McGilda was the sole passenger, did you not?
False testimony, my lord. Well, that's what I told I had to say. But it's just important that he tells the truth now. Were Mr. McGilda and the victim acquaintances? I don't know. But I hear him talking a lot. What were they talking about? Well, I couldn't hear too well, but if I had to say, I think it was about money or something. He kept talking about buying and not buying.
Perhaps business dealings of some kind.
Well, anyway, they got louder and louder and started to sound like a proper fight. I was pretty scared by then. I hardly dared to breathe, and then all of a sudden, I heard a noise like someone keeling over on the floor. It was blooming loud and all.
And I believe you let out an involuntary scream.
Yeah, that's what gave me away.
Hold it!
Was it the disc you saw? This disc? Yeah, I reckon it probably was. It was right next to the old cove lying on the floor.
Could this disc have belonged to the victim, perhaps?
Well, I don't know, but Mr. McGilda picked it up pretty smartish. And then he sat in the cove with... the knife in his belly up on the scene. What did he say to you at that time? He told me not to say a word about what I seen or heard to no one. About the disc and all. I was dead scared. The way he was looking at me I thought if I didn't go along with it, I'd get stuck with that knife too. And then he started asking me a load of questions. Like what my name was and where I lived and that. He asked me about being a diver too. But after a while, what happened in the carriage was noticed. Yeah, that's right. First it's kind of rapid noise.
Out of sight? Where?
back under the seat where I started off. Once the carriage came to an halt, the two coats on the roof ran off to fetch their stops. If they immediately left to fetch the police, it appeared they were entirely unrelated to the incident. So that left Mr. McGilden, the driver, and you still at the scene. Yeah, well, the driver didn't know I was there because I was under his seat. I heard the cabin door open and a voice from outside.
The driver, yes. He also testified in this trial, in the trial, I believe.
What did Mr. McGilden and the driver say to each other? I don't know what happened and stuff like that, mainly.
Hold it!
Well, that pawn shop obviously being Windibanks on Baker Street.
Just a moment, counsel. Do you mean to tell me that the driver gave false testimony in the trial as well?
Perhaps the excursion to the pawnbrokery slipped his mind when he was on the stand.
Indeed, Lord Van ZIEKS.
Mr. McGilden took off his coat and gave it to the driver. He folded it up all careful before and handed it over. When I saw him do that, I remember thinking, that coat and what's in it gotta be worth a few bob. Well, yeah, Gina was sure the disc must be worth more than what Mr. Windibank was suggesting, wasn't she? I remember her quibbling with him over the price in the afternoon at the pawnbrokery. The driver looked pretty happy when Mr. McGilden flashed some brass in his face. It went running off at a lick. Then the box rider called to me and told me to come out from the drag's cabin.
Hold it!
He threatened you? How exactly? Told me I'd only be able to scarf her if I did exactly what he said. Which included giving false testimony in court 2 months ago. Yeah, that's it. And there's one other thing he said. Which was... He told me I'd have to hang on to the ticket from the pawn shop and make sure not to lose it.
The ticket? Well, I never.
Said that he didn't show up to get the ticket off me before 2 months passed. I had to go to the pawn shop and pay the money to keep it in his lug, to stop it from being forfeited. He left me with some brass to pay for it.
But really, why on earth would Mr. McGilden have done such a thing? Depositing his overcoat with a pawnbroker before the arrival of the
Oh, because that's the blood!
It makes no sense at all.
There seemed to only one logical explanation, my lord. What Mr. McGilden had the driver deposit Windibanks was something he didn't want the police to see. Something very important that he needed to hide at all costs. Well, anyway, after that, it let me go. So I lugged it before the coppers showed up. Well done, Gina. It couldn't be easy to tell the truth like that. Ginny's really put her faith in you, Bruno. Oh, yeah, and to thank her, she'll have to face a charge of perjury once this trial's over. Wait, what the heck's happening there?
That can't be allowed!
Well, take a look at those two. Is it strange that they've been whispering to each other the entire time? Yeah? They're having a secret discussion on the witness stand. I'm not sure I'm completely comfortable with that. I wonder if there's anything I can do about it. Hey, you, turn around!
Excuse me.
Is there something you'd like to share with the court, Inspector Gregson and Mr. Graydon? Inspector, Mr. Graydon! Blah! Blah, you trying to give me a heart attack? You've been whispering to each other for quite some time now. Well, tell us, what's the discussion about?
Discussion with this fella? Pull the other one, Sunshine. You think I got anything to talk about with a shady gent like this?
And I have nothing to do with this uncouth detective after he deprived me of that disc that was so rightfully mine. But you were clearly talking the entire time I've been cross-examining Gina. It's as if they've been negotiating. Van ZIEKS, you saw it too. Why didn't you do any accusations?
Thank you, Miss Lestrade. Thank you, counsel. Oh, I don't have to do anything else? I've heard enough. I believe we now have a reasonable understanding of what actually transpired on the omnibus.
It would appear on that night 2 months ago, a negotiation was taking place on the omnibus. A negotiation concerning this disc. However, matters did not run smoothly. When the parties involved began to quarrel over a price, McGilden took what he wanted by force, and the expense of the other man's life. Which proves my point. The disc is clearly extremely valuable in some way. Although, I don't understand why.
And 2 days ago, precisely 2 months after the omnibus incident, McGilda's coat and its contents were due to be forfeited. Well, I didn't know what I should do with the ticket. I mean, the cove died right after his trial. I knew that. So you decided you would try to claim the articles as your own. Well, why not, eh? They're only going to be forfeited. Why shouldn't I have got them? Well, anyway, you can't blame me for thinking about it. Thinking ain't no crime.
Miss Lestrade, it would appear Mr. McGilda was prepared to kill in order to take possession of this disc. Do you know why that would be?
Eh? I ain't got a clue. But I reckon it must be worth a fair bit of brass. It was probably going to sell it. And you can't blame me for thinking that. Thinking ain't no crime.
My lord! The evidence your lordship request has been located. Is ready for the court's inspection. Can I get it to be continued soon? I was like, going on a little bit too long. I'm really sad that Gregson's a bad guy. Potentially. This mysterious little box deposited by Mr. McGilda 2 months ago. We gave him tea. There's no doubt in my mind that it's a key piece in this far-reaching puzzle. Ooh, yes! I held out long enough. Go me. Alright, so next episode we find out what's in the box. And... more things. Alright, see you guys next time. Laters.